Welcome to the first On the Couch session, hosted by Camerland Cape Town, part of their monthly Be Inspired meetings, as well as the Creative Collaborative Collective. Tonight we're going to be speaking about the value of intellectual property for photographers. So what is all the fuss about intellectual property? Why are so many photographers up in arms about it? Well, quite simply, it's because intellectual property has financial value. Or to be more precise, the ownership of intellectual property has financial value. Unfortunately, this is what happens to most photographers' intellectual property because they don't know what they're dealing with. What photographers really need to realize is that the true financial value in photography is selling license for use. If you don't believe me, ask Bill Gates. Bill Gates became one of the wealthiest men in the world through selling license for use of Microsoft products. We all know that when you buy a Microsoft product, you have to enter a license key in order to be able to use the software legitimately. Those license keys are the license for use that you buy when you buy the Microsoft products. So what's the big deal about intellectual property anyway? It's not just a local issue. The ownership of intellectual property has such worldwide value that the United Nations enshrined it in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In Article 27 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, point number 2 very specifically says that everyone, including you, has the right to the protection of the moral and material interests resulting from any scientific, literary, or artistic production of which he or she is the author. The basics of copyright are that copyright protects the right of the creator to reproduce the work. It allows limited private or personal use of the work by others without payment. And it ensures that the creator of the work can earn an income from the commercial use or the commercial exploitation of the work. Copyright can be assigned, sold, or licensed to others. The South African Copyright Act 98 of 1978, as amended, covers literary, musical, and artistic works, films, sound recordings, broadcasts, computer software, published editions, computer programs. An artistic work is defined by the Act as paintings, sculptures, drawings, engravings, and photographs. And the definition of an artistic work is irrespective of the artistic quality thereof. Copyright in South Africa has a lifespan and expires 50 years after the work is first made available to the public. Alternatively, if the photograph is never published or made available to the public within 50 years of its creation, then copyright expires 50 years after the photograph is made. It has nothing to do with the life of the author. During the 50-year period, whoever owns the copyright can regulate the use of the photograph. They can grant licenses or receive royalties for the use of the photograph. After the expiry of the 50-year period, the copyright will cease to exist and the work becomes open to public use. In the South African Copyright Act 98 of 1978 as amended, Section 21 speaks very specifically about the ownership of copyright. Section 21(1)(a) says that subject to the provisions of this section, the ownership of any copyright conferred by Section 3 or 4 on any work, including photography, shall vest in the author, or in the case of a work of joint authorship, in the co-authors of the work, unless otherwise agreed. Section B is directly relevant to photographers and says that if an artistic work is made by an author during the course of his employment, very specifically with publications such as newspapers, magazines, or periodicals, then the proprietor shall be the owner of the copyright. In all other aspects, the author shall be the owner of the copyright, unless otherwise agreed. Section C says that if an artist or an author is commissioned to produce a photograph, a painting, or a drawing of a portrait, a film, sound recording, gravure, and they agree to pay, and they pay or agree to pay in money or money's worth, and the work is made in pursuance of their commission, then the commissioning agent shall be the owner of the copyright, unless otherwise agreed. Section D says that in other situations where an author is employed, then the employer shall own the copyright to their works produced, unless otherwise agreed. Section E is the part of the Act that empowers authors to agree otherwise to sections B, C, and D, and very specifically says that this can be changed Section 20 of the Copyright Act refers to moral rights and says there that the author of the work has the right to claim authorship of the work and to object to any distortion, mutilation, or other modification of the work, where such action is prejudicial to the honor or reputation of the author. Any infringement of the provisions of Section 20 will be treated as an infringement of the copyright under Chapter 2, and for the purposes of the provisions of the said chapter, the author will be deemed to be the owner of the copyright in question. Remember that photographers do not sell photographs. We sell intellectual property. Why? Because the ownership of intellectual property has financial value. So, if you own the copyright to your photographs, how do you sell license for use? The license for use of photographs is based on 3 key elements. Time, in other words, how long will the images be used for? Territory, what countries the images will be used in? And media, what media will the images be used in? So the 3 factors for license for use are time, territory, and media. A standard license agreement is 1 year in one country in 2 media, or 2 years in one country in 1 media. The time being the years and the media are interchangeable, the territories are not. In the case of editorial use, once-off use in one publication is a standard license agreement, unless otherwise agreed. Use of the images outside of the base usage or standard license has to be paid for per use for time, territory, or media. There are standard reusage guidelines, such as the one that can be found on the AOP website, the Association of Photographers website. These tables show very clearly what the percentages are that should be charged of the base usage rate for extended use. So, as a very brief recap, photographers own the copyright to their own photographs, unless otherwise agreed. The commissioning agent owns the copyright to photographs commissioned by them for a specific purpose, executed in accordance with the brief, within the Republic of South Africa only, unless otherwise agreed. The key to agreeing otherwise is good business documentation. Suing for copyright infringement is expensive. Invoicing the infringer for the use of the images is much more cost-effective. Debt collection of unpaid invoices is more cost-effective than litigation for copyright infringement. Remember that the ownership of copyright has financial value, which is why it's so important for you as the creator of that work to own the intellectual property behind it. For more information about the Creative Collaborative Collective, please go to our website, creativecollaborativecollective.org, or join us in our Facebook group, Creative Cole Cole, or you can follow us on Twitter on Creative Cole Cole. Thank you very much.